A consortium of local and international investors has reportedly offered to invest 21 billion rand in South African Airways in return for a 51% stake in the ailing national carrier. Government's recently pumped 5 billion rand into the airline, but it's not enough. The airline says it needs an additional 3.5 billion rand before March next year. Joining us now is SAA spokesperson Tlali Tlali. He joins us via Skype. So, Mr. Tlali, a very good afternoon to you on this Christmas afternoon. Thank you for your time. Can you confirm that you have indeed received this offer that comes with a 51% equity condition?
Good afternoon, Tembekile. Merry Christmas to you and the viewers out there. We can confirm that indeed we have been approached by Fly Modern Arc, where they requested a meeting with us. We met with them on the 30th of May, where they sought to present to us what their capability is and to also start engagement with us in the context of them securing a stake in the form of equity.
And in those discussions in May, we are now in December. Am I correct in assuming that no agreement was reached, or is it still a work in progress?
No agreement was reached, principally for this reason. An issue around the securing of a strategic equity partner is something that is within the purview of the shareholder. In other words, it is a process that is led by the shareholder. The airline and its management cannot embark on such engagements without the involvement of the sanction of the shareholder. And the shareholder, for its part, is also constrained by a few considerations. If you recall, a process of this nature is informed mainly by the Constitution and secondly by the PFMA. So in other words, you cannot be seen to be going on your own, considering unsolicited bids and taking negotiations forward on the basis of that. It is something that is provided for within the framework of legislation, and the shareholder has indicated that the time is not yet ripe for anyone to consider such a matter. In other words, insofar as the airline management is concerned, we indicated to us that A, it is within the purview of the shareholder, and B, there is a legislative framework that governs any such engagements in the context of an equity partner.
And by shareholder, you are referring to the government, correct?
By shareholder, we are referring to government, and in this particular instance, the shareholder representative will be the Department of Public Enterprises.
And in some of the reporting that was done in the last few days, Public Enterprises Department spokesperson Adrian Lekay was saying that SAA would first have to be stabilized operationally before any sort of equity deal such as this one that was brought to you would be able to go ahead. How much longer do we have to wait until we see that operational stability at South African Airways?
I think it is not so much about operational stability. It is more of a financial stability, because our operations are solid, are stable. It's a question of responding to our liquidity challenges, as well as finding lasting solutions in the context of our solvency requirements. This is a matter that we have presented to the shareholder. We are on record having indicated that we should be able to fully implement our turnaround plans, and we need a period of 3 years to do so, and B, funding in the form of 21.7 billion rand. So far, the shareholder, the government, has given us 5 billion rand. We have also taken note of media reports indicating that we require 3.5 billion. We can also indicate that insofar as that is concerned, the lenders have in principle supported our requirements to say that they will come on board to provide this facility, so that we continue to operate up until the end of the current financial year, which is end of March 2019.
So if this agreement with Fly Modern Arc would go ahead, let's say early next year, late next year, whenever, and there is this 51% equity stake, what would that mean for fears around the privatization of South African Airways? Because we know the unions are rather concerned about that.
I think the shareholder is also on record having indicated that they are willing to consider the provision of an equity to a private sector partner. It is not so much a conversation around privatizing the airline. And insofar as the provision of equity is concerned, that process is driven by the shareholder, and it is subject to the factors that I have highlighted earlier on. insofar as the legislative framework is concerned. So it wouldn't be, if it were to be considered and if it were to actualize, it wouldn't be necessarily an agreement with Fly Modern Arc merely because they have approached us. There are a number of other parties who have expressed interest, and this process will have to be, in terms of the Constitution, be a transparent one and a fair process which everybody is given an opportunity to participate in. So we are not there yet, but the shareholder will outline the process whenever they deem that it is time for us to consider a strategic equity partner.
And of course, you are exploring several avenues as far as shoring up money at SAA is concerned. One of the other things that were reported last month, and I think this was by Bloomberg, was the idea of SAA possibly allowing the public to buy shares via the stock exchange. Is that something that you are still considering as management, or is that off the table now?
It wouldn't be for us to, to pronounce on something of this nature. It is a matter that is within the purview of the shareholder. The management is responsible for the day-to-day operations, and to the extent we are required to provide advice or to express an opinion, we do so through the shareholder. So the shareholder is best placed to pronounce and express a view insofar as how and what is it that is going to be considered in the context of meeting SAA's funding requirements.
But to your knowledge, that has not been taken off the table?
To the extent I am aware, it is only an issue of getting a strategic equity partner. We have not dealt with the specific details insofar as how that process is going to unfold.
All right.